Thank you for tuning in to Koppen with Comic. I'm Brian Koppen with comic Ben Auxier. Ben Auxier, how the hell are you?
I am doing just fine. I'm enjoying a mild Chicago winter day, which means it's slightly above freezing.
Yeah, I hear it's
And
actually pretty nice out there. Like, oh yeah, Chicago's having a great winter. Somebody told me earlier today, and I was like, I was there during Christmas. It was 8 degrees.
yes, no, I like over Christmas in December it was awful, and then although I was out of town, so I missed the worst of it. But then when I came back, it's been like it's been like 36 like all January.
Yeah,
I don't think people know what to do with themselves because we're hunkered inside and there's nothing to hunker from. So then we just feel like lazy pieces of shit.
that's great. Yeah, I love
Um,
winter. Yeah, winter gives you an excuse to kind of hunker in. But like you
right.
said, yeah, you
And I
start feeling
need
like shit.
that. I need that excuse. I need to have a reason I'm not going outside. That's not just, my own crippling anxiety.
Well, I
So
think,
that's
dude, I think you're basically productive. You don't need to leave. I think you prove with all your comedy output, I think you prove that you don't need to leave to be productive. And we follow him everywhere. Ben Auxier has his own.com, but
yeah.
also on the Instagram, this guy knows as well. And he used to be this guy knows, I thought, on Twitter. What happened there?
What happened there was I left Twitter and not in the most recent round of Twitter upsets. I left Twitter I think around 2 years ago just because I just realized I was wasting so much of my time there. I envy people who can just get on Twitter, make their jokes, look at other jokes, go, wasn't that a delight? And then go like make dinner or something.
You can't
I'm
do that. You can't
I'm
separate
terrible.
yourself. Yeah.
No. I mean, the algorithm knows exactly what it's doing with me, and it will show me something that's just like he's going to be real mad about this, and then I gotta go tell, and then I gotta argue with some stranger who is not there to have a conversation about anything for half an afternoon, and then I realize, okay, I got it. This is dumb. So basically because in the early days of Twitter, like I was using it to make jokes. Literally, like every day I would go on, I would try to write like a joke a day. I'd be like, okay, I got here's a clever little thing. And I wouldn't even like look at other stuff really.
Yes, go back to that. Then I can retweet you.
Right. Well, maybe someday, but also now I'm afraid it's all going to collapse any second. So, who knows? Maybe we'll see what everyone. We'll see what. So I'm gonna wait like a year and see what everyone is using then, and then jump on that bandwagon.
Dude, yeah, that's kind of what I'm waiting on. I was on Mastodon for 5 seconds, but unless I kind of find everybody else on Mastodon, I can't retweet all my former guests as I love to do. But I saw
Right.
your social. This guy knows as well on Instagram. You were in Amadeus, and you tell me that you were the fucking one of the fucking leads. Like, because that didn't both of them get nominated for lead actor?
Yeah, for the movie version, yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I played Mozart. This was a few years back now. And as you'll notice on Instagram, I don't update a whole lot there either. But I did play. I played that role a few years ago out at a theater in Colorado. It was really beautiful, actually. I went out they housed us out there, so I just went out to live in Colorado for a few months right by Pikes Peak,
Okay.
and just hung out in this like beautiful mountain town and did this play for a while. It was very surreal, and it feels, every time I describe it, I feel like I'm lying because like
Yeah.
no one I know was there, and there's
Nobody usually treats people that well.
yeah, there's nothing surviving of it aside from a few pictures, but I'm relatively sure it happened.
Those pictures were doozies because, like, very important, almost as important as two lead actors are the boob shelf of Stanzi. And so I see one of the actresses on here. She has the décolletage. You need your boobs kind of out if you're gonna play that role,
It's
right? Was that
it's
Stanzi?
yeah, it's an interesting mode or an interesting time costume wise,
Yeah.
and I always feel kind of bad for for the women that I co-star with whenever it's a period piece, because yeah, everything is insane. Everything is designed to just take a shape that is not the human body in the least bit, and pretend that that's what a body is supposed to look like.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you're rocking 3, 4, 5 sets of coats.
I was much colder back then.
Now, how did you do? Is it Tom Hulse or whatever his name is? Did you do him proud? How did you play it differently?
Oh, I'm sure he would have been mortified. I'm
did
sure
you watch the movie? Did the movie performance influence your own, or not really?
I mean, a little bit. I watched the movie mostly just to kind of familiarize myself with it a little bit, but I honestly, it was a situation where I knew the director, and the director had asked me specifically if I'd come out and do it. And so I thought, well, if he already trusts me enough to just kind of blind ask me without auditioning, then I guess I can just kind of do whatever I want. And I did.
But we're expecting the laugh, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think that's what he was kind of thinking. He was just like, okay, well, Ben's like a, generally comedic performer, and it's not strictly speaking a comedic role, but
he's got a weird ass laugh. Let's get Ben Auxier on here.
Right. Yeah. I don't think you want someone in that role who's going to be scared to let loose.
You're kind of adventurous risk taker, and so you were like, I mean, that's why I was hired. I got to take some fucking risks. And did they pay off? I mean, did your risks pay off? Did the audience enjoy it?
Well, I'm very famous now, so yeah, I would say
Koppen with comic now. Everything has panned out.
everything has panned out. I don't know. I think though that one thing that I've noticed with comedy performers specifically is that we have to learn really early on to be okay with looking bad.
Yeah.
Looking stupid and on stage. And I don't know. I wouldn't say that this is true of like most actors or anything, but I do know a lot of actors who don't really come from that world, for whom it's like that's much harder. Like there's a dignity shield that is just like I can't be that undignified.
And you think so? I mean, comedy, you need to almost be, look human, so people can empathize and sympathize and kind of, nod their head before you said a single fucking word. Whereas drama, maybe that's not the case. And so do you find that drama people, people who only do dramas have a tougher time of being vulnerable on stage?
Well, maybe. I think that it's fair to say that you have a tougher time. You have a tougher time.
Looking stupid. I mean, I guess you're right. Like they have to cry and emote. So I suppose that's vulnerability.
You have a tougher time looking stupid on stage.
So
like you have a tougher time. Yeah, because vulnerability is one thing, but it's another thing entirely to basically live out that that nightmare that people have where you're standing in front of a class and you're just in your underwear and you don't know why and you don't know how you got there and everyone's like laughing. You have to literally get to a point where you're just like, this is good, I will live this nightmare and embrace it. And then once you've done that, I think it's easy, but because then you lose all claim to dignity and it's fine.
Yeah.
But before you've crossed that threshold, it's hard to psych yourself up for it.
And that's why I can't do comedy, man. Like I've done it. It's like I just can't enjoy it though, because it's like you really do have to. I'm kind of sensitive, and just like with every joke that does not get a laugh, I'm just like, you have just slaughtered me. You have killed me. I mean, you've shown me that I'm less than perfectly funny, which of course everybody knows, but it's like you guys seem to know that. You guys seem to be showing, putting a mirror up to my not funniness.
Yeah, you've shown that I am not perfectly funny. That's the very first time that I tried stand up. I went to go. It was an open mic, and I wasn't even going to go up. I was there to watch somebody else do it, and my friend goes up and he does pretty well, and then I'm watching other people go up, and I'm like, well, I think I could do this.
Yeah.
And again, this is back when I used Twitter correctly. So at the time, I signed up, and then since there were a few people before me, I just went through my own Twitter feed and I just found jokes that I had posted and just picked ones that I liked. So then I just went up and did like a set of one-liners for my own Twitter feed, and it went like really well, like surprisingly well. And I was like, okay, I am the best at stand-up. And so then I was like, I'm going to come back next week and I'm going to actually write something this time. I'm going to prepare something this time. No, here's the thing. I prepared a few minutes. I went up. It went really well. And I was like, that proves it. I am the best there ever was. I come back the next week. I do new material. It is silence. It is stone silence.
Why? Just a different audience or different material?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. All I know is that I remember walking off that stage with that feeling that you described of just like, oh no, how did I go from on top of the world to like the least funny or impressive or like valuable person in the room?
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster, man.
And I can't believe that people kind of do that night in, night out. Like I did Cubby Bear once, like, and a friend was going to go up. I wasn't. And like, so it's just like your thing. And like on the way there, like in the back of my mind, I was kind of thought some jokes and stuff. And I was like, I started even getting like the stomach butterflies. I was like, I think I'm going to get up. And sure enough, I fucking slayed and he fucking bombed. And then what happened after that was I went to an improv class and I hated that lack of control. That was bullshit. And then I went to New York and, you're in an open mic with 4 people looking on their fucking phone.
Yep.
And, it was too jokey anyway. Like it was incredible coming out of my mouth. And so they do better. They're like, yeah, I wrote jokes like this all the time. They don't fucking work. You can tell these incredible jokes that have no common thread and have no root in your persona, but we're not going to fucking laugh at it. All right. Because nobody laughed at it when I did these hack fucking jokes. Right. I'm not going to laugh at you, motherfucker. And so that's when I was like, maybe I'll just interview comedians. You guys are open and honest, but I can't take do 5-6 shows a night. And to have that swing, right? To have that swing between being on a fucking late show and being on a place where they fucking, they just don't think you're funny at all.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I should say that like my own comedy output has shifted to other areas and formats. Like I didn't do, strictly speaking, I haven't done like stand up in a while because that is it's a thing where I was like, okay, this specific form of comedy, what I came to realize was if I want to do this, I have to do it every single night.
Yeah.
Like you described, like I got to do it multiple times a night, as many times as I can. I will almost never, at least, for years, probably almost never get paid $1 to do it.
Yeah.
And I found that environment to be just kind of it's rough, because when I do other forms of comedy, there's usually some form of collaboration at play. And so if you do well, there's like a team sort of celebration. And even if you do poorly, if it bombs, there's a commiseration that can sort of happen there amongst all the participants. But when it's just you, and you are the one who's standing in the room of 10 other people who are just comics, who are just waiting for their turn, who are almost incentivized not to find you funny because that's invalidating toward them somehow. That's a brutal environment to subject yourself to night after night.
Yeah, multiple times one night. I had Joe Janes on earlier. And Joe Janes, that big Chicago, teacher of, at Columbia and Second City of, sketch and improv and all that bullshit. And I think he had done stand up earlier, and he did say something like, I got fed up with the whole thing. I was like, well, what fed you up? He's like, I just didn't like being alone, meaning when I want my friends up there with me. It's like, why would I build my life around something where it's just you when I could have all my fucking friends with me? And that's just so true. Because I didn't like the lack of control, whereas at least when I got up there and did my act, I could kind of predict the laughs. Whereas here it's just, but I also don't like I'm good in front of people, but my stomach fucks up. And so not only can you not keep a day job if you're doing, 4 or 5 mics a night, I would also start getting nervous from the moment I woke up, and it would just slaughter me. And so although I'm really good, it's because I'm kind of nervous all the fucking time that I end up being really good. But it's just I can't take those fucking swings. And so like you said, so now you're doing what, improv or sketch, and kind of, I know religion and politics are some of the things that end up in some
Yeah.
of your work, kind of,
Yeah.
how are those hot button issues? I mean, they didn't work for you on Twitter. But
No, because
algorithms like,
because
let's
I'm
show this to him. I love
yeah,
that.
yeah, no, because I'm because the energy gets directed in just the least helpful way possible. Because when you're sitting down and when you're trying to craft something, about a topic that you feel strongly about, then you have to there's a process of like sitting down, examining it, trying to get to the heart of it. Like, what is it about this that bothers me? How can I kind of lampoon that or highlight that in a way that's engaging? Like, there's more introspection when you're just in a fight with somebody. There's no goddamn introspection. There's no process of like trying to sort your own thoughts out. You're just looking at what someone else has just said and going, no, like that's not, that doesn't help. That doesn't help anybody. It definitely doesn't help me. I do I do a lot of improv, and I've done a lot of sketch work. I've also written or co-written stage plays and musicals, and um, I kind of, a wide variety of formats. But the common thread is just that I can't seem to go too long without uh, trying to get some ideas on a stage.
And so, but like for religion and politics, like, what are the things that interest you about them that you
Yeah.
really need to put in one show before you die?
Oh boy. Well, I did. That's a fascinating way of asking that question.
And he will be dead soon. I'll
And I
be in
will be dead
Chicago in
soon.
2 weeks, and if it's less than 32 fucking degrees, I'm coming for Ben Auxier.
uh, well, I mean, my background, I come from a highly religious background, and I would say that 9 times out of 10, if you've got that friend who feels the need to talk about that stuff all the time, it's because that's where they came from.
Yeah.
I was sort of raised in a like a fundamentalist, sort of a right wing fundamentalist environment. Um, was homeschooled up until my second year of high school.
Wow,
Um,
that makes a difference.
it does. And to be
Because
fair,
normally that shit is beaten out of you pretty early.
well,
Like I also like I have a bunch, I have a bunch of pastors in my family and just a bunch of church workers, and like I love it. Like I'm still a big believer and stuff, but it's like
yeah,
I was also very popular in middle school and high school and stuff. And so it's like
right.
one of the reasons is like you can kind of read the fucking room, but if you were homeschooled, oh my lord.
Well, that is kind of an interesting thing, because in my experience um, there's three kinds of homeschoolers in my experience. There are three kinds of homeschool families, like people who decide that that's what they're going to do. Like, there's the hippie homeschoolers, there's the religious homeschoolers, and then there's the people who just find themselves in that situation, like, this is just the best option I have right now.
Yeah.
Like it during the pandemic, like or during lockdowns and whatnot, like people got far more people experienced what it was to try to do homeschooling, and it was merely a product of circumstance. But my family was in the category of religious homeschoolers, and to be clear, both of my parents, they have degrees in teaching. They are
Okay.
they are educators. Like, there was qualification there, but
Okay.
um, the reason for their thinking was the reason for a lot of, I think, religious homeschoolers thinking, which is, there's just stuff I need to protect my kid from,
Yes.
and not necessarily things that are direct threats to them, but I need to kind of have better control over what ideas come in to play.
And was it just curriculum, or was it also some social shit? Because a lot of the social shit, you're going and you're doing the school in the middle of a fucking fashion show, a popularity contest where there's fucking
Right.
people talking dick and fart jokes, or even getting into porn pretty young, as we're finding out right now. Like, were
Right.
they also trying to protect you from that?
I mean, I would imagine so. But what I definitely know is that there was this sense of like, it's too chaotic, and there's too many things that are dangerous about kind of sending you out into the public school and seeing what might influence you out there. So we're doing it, you know, we're gonna do it here. We're gonna uh that I think was the primary motivation. And so I, that was kind of the world that I came up with. And I was, you know, super fundamentalist. I was very in this world. I was very locked into this world. And I it took until I was, you know, off at college really to get that first sort of, wait a minute, I'm going to step back now and re-examine a little bit.
Okay.
And stepping back and re-examining, you know, revealed a lot of things that, you know, I could no longer hold on to. And when you spend the first couple decades of your life utterly devoted to certain ideas, and then you have to kind of leave them behind, that leaves a mark on your head. And I think that's why people like me can't stop talking about it forever and
Yes.
become that guy at the bar, because
Well,
because we're just like, everything stopped being true. Like, did you ever, like, everything was true for 20 years and then it stopped? Do you realize what that means?
or at least, I mean, at least you believed it with some
Sure,
certainty.
sure.
I mean,
But
it's either
that's,
true or it's
yeah,
not, but at
of
least
course.
your belief was just so rock solid for decades, and you start questioning it. But
Right,
it's
but yeah, that's what I mean. I think that if you have, I just think that um if you have that experience, it's really wild and it's impactful. And
yeah.
I think people who haven't had an experience like that um maybe have a hard time understanding how visceral that is.
Oh yeah, because it's like the cult thing. It's like your truth. You're living your truth for decades, and then you
Yeah.
emerge from the fucking cave, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's cars out here. I thought there was only fucking wagons. But that's
Yep.
so great because now we know that it's gonna like. I can't wait to see the play, the Ben Auxier play, musical comedy sketch that plays all this stuff out. We follow him everywhere. BenAuxier.com, and there you can find out that the Instagram is This Guy Knows This Well, but also back in the day on
Yeah.
Twitter, it was This Guy Knows. And so hopefully you can get back to the thing where you write some jokes so I can retweet them, and
Okay.
then just never look at anything else ever again. I just love how you're like, the Instagram knows. I mean, you're like, but the algorithm knows how to piss me off. And like, let's show this to him. It's gonna fucking piss him off. But I love that so much. Ben Auxier, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thank you for having me. It was a delightful chat.